I look at it this, I believe we're all called here to do something significant. I don't know what that is for you, but by being extremely intentional about how you handle your money in your 20s, especially in this regard, and not playing into that flashy kind of paradigm that a lot of people fall into, you're going to realize it's going to help you get where you want to go much, much faster. And the ripple effects behind that are extremely powerful. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. And for this video, we're going to be talking about the 5 money mistakes people make in their 20s. So I'm fully aware, based on the analytics of my channel, that most people that follow me and watch me are not 20. And most of you are between the age of 35 and 55. And chances are you have a 20-year-old. So if you're watching this, my encouragement to you is take this video, share this video with any of the teens, late teens, early 20s, people that you know who are in this space, because I promise you the information I'm about to share with you is going to help them. Honestly, some of the information I'm going to cover is applicable to any age, quite frankly. It's very driven by, it absolutely has an impact for people in their 20s, but that's it. So let's just get into this. The first mistake that I see people in their 20s make, and this is especially applicable to the young gentlemen out there, is trying to look too flashy. Let's face it, we go to school, we get a job, we feel like a big shot, we got our paycheck coming in the first time in our lives, and we want to go out and buy a nice car, we want to live in a nice apartment or get a nice place to live, and so we spend more money. Maybe we want to go out to dinner a lot because we have this sense of freedom, and it's all about going out and getting drinks and having fun. Listen, I did this, I made the mistakes. I'm not preaching at you. I'm kind of preaching with you, because I want you to avoid the mistakes that I made. But it's a big deal to all the ladies out there, the Gucci handbags and all these different things. Listen, these are not things that are going to help you achieve the goals that you want in your life. I'm a big believer that, it's just, if you need those things in life, they're not going to fulfill you, right? And if you need those to impress the people around you, you're probably hanging out with the wrong people. So you may not realize this, but going out and buying a $500 Gucci handbag, while it costs you $500 right now, the opportunity cost on that in 35 years is going to be about $16,000 if you have an average rate of return, if you were to take that money and invest it or save it into any kind of asset that's going to get you 6 to 8%. So when you think about what the opportunity cost and you realize what the cost of trying to look flashy for other people is costing you, you realize it's probably not worth it. And I'm a big believer of the phrase, like, you gotta live like nobody wants to live now, so you can live like they won't be able to later, right? And you gotta just embody that, and you build those habits and principles into your life at a young age when your overhead is low, when you can do these things and actually accelerate the growth by implementing this principle sooner in your life. You're putting yourself in a position to be able to take advantage of compounded growth of your money and of your assets. When you start when you're young, a lot of people say, well, you can do less and retire with more when you, like, at 65. My encouragement is keep doing more and just stop having to work and show up early. Have financial freedom and financial independence at a younger age. That's going to allow you to show up as the most powerful version of yourself and make the true impact in this earth that you're able to make, and that that the greatest vision that you can think of in your mind. And I look at it this, I believe we're all called here to do something significant. I don't know what that is for you, but by being extremely intentional about how you handle your money in your 20s, especially in this regard, and not playing into that flashy kind of paradigm that a lot of people fall into, you're going to realize it's going to help you get where you want to go much, much faster. And the ripple effects behind that are extremely powerful. And that leads me to number 2, which is just not saving enough money. When you look at it, okay, I want to make sure you're not being flashy, but take that money, save it, maybe save even more of it. I don't know about you, but I remember when I was first getting out of school, my bills were lower back then than they are ever were since, right? And so I remember a time in my life that if I could make $3,000 a month, I was like, wow, that would have been absolutely amazing, right? Like, that would have my bills covered, I have freedom now. And now it's like, man, if I don't make 12 grand a month, like, I'm stressing out. Like, you know, it's just one of those things. It's a different perspective, different paradigm. That was before I had 3 kids and goals and needed to save for college and was doing vacations, and it cost me, 10 grand to go on a vacation with my family of 5. Right now, I don't care how broke you feel. I don't care what it all seems like to you. Life is never going to be easier than it is right now. So take advantage of that situation and save as high a percentage of your income as possible. And if you do that, I promise you, it will pay off in spades. All right, so once you've saved enough money and you've built up an emergency fund, an opportunity fund, and you're prepared, the third mistake that I see is people don't have a cash flow investing plan in place. The biggest mistake that I see people making is thinking they got to hop on that hamster wheel and just start trying to save and accumulate as much money. I don't care if you get to $1 million in your retirement account. I don't care if you get to 5 million or 10 million. It's not a matter of how much money that you have in your retirement account. That's almost irrelevant. What really matters is not how much money you have, but the lifestyle that money is able to provide you. And quite frankly, you're not able to measure the most important components that will show you if that pile of money in your retirement account is going to be able to do for you what you need it to in retirement. Things like inflation. Look 20 years from now. If you were saving 20, 30 years ago, there was zero chance that you would have realized that we were going to have the Twin Towers hit in 2000 and the recession there, the real estate crisis in 2008 and the Great Recession, COVID happening, inflation the way it is now. The world throws things at us and the economy moves in ways that nobody ever knows. But the problem is those variables, the inflation variables, the market cycles, the market risks, the sequence of return risks, all these like technical things that probably don't mean much to you now, but will matter a lot to you when you get to retirement. They all are extremely important. But the problem is you can't measure them. You can't control them because they're in the future and they're kind of like these black swan events that happen to everybody. And what I can say is if you're investing for accumulation, you're gonna run into a situation where those are problems that you're gonna have to deal with. And it's one of the reasons 95% of people in this country are reaching retirement and not able to maintain their standard of living on a guaranteed basis for the rest of their life. So instead, this is where a cash flow investing plan comes in. When you have a cash flow investing plan, psychologically and subconsciously, you're going to believe that you can be successful because listen, if you think you got to get to $5 million and you're making 50 grand a year and the most you can save is $10,000 a year, which is really high, 20% of your income, saving 10 grand a year is not going to get you to 5 million over the next 40 years. It's just not, right? And even if it were in some possibility, which it's not, even if it were, subconsciously, you're not going to believe that you can get to $5 million because it's not real. If you're making 50 grand a year, you don't know what $5 million feels like. So you've never seen it. You've never felt it. You've never had an asset worth that kind of money. So your subconscious, you're going to be battling with, right? It's going to be telling you you're not going to be successful. And the human brain is only going to allow you to put 100% of effort into something that you believe with 100% certainty you'll be successful with, right? So this is the importance of cash flow investing. If you're making 50 grand a year right now, think about what does it mean? What's it going to take for you to be successful? Let's just say 5,000 a month, which is 60 grand. Start a cash flow investing plan that chips away at trying to create monthly or annual cash flow revenue that's going to chip away at that need. And I promise if you do, you're going to believe you can do it because you know what 5,000 a month feels like. You've seen it, you've touched it, you've felt it, you've earned it, right? So that's a real number to you. It's something you can wrap your head around. B, if you're putting, let's say 10,000 a year away and you look at your annual statement year one and you go, I got $10,500 after a 5% return and I need to get to 5 million. You're going to look at that gap and be like, holy cow, that's a pretty insurmountable task that I got ahead of me. But if you look at it and you can create $250 of monthly cash flow, right? And you know you need to get to 5,000, that's a much smaller gap to make up the difference. You can compound that cash flow and let it grow. You're going to have a lot more confidence and being able to be successful, and you're going to believe that you're on a path. You're in control of actually achieving that desired objective, right? And so When you believe it, now you're going to double down. You're going to put more energy and effort into it. And I promise you, not only are you going to get there, you're going to get there faster. You're going to have more control over the results. You're going to be more empowered. You're going to become who you want to be and who you need to be to achieve and live the life that you want to live. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Let's face it, if you're just getting started, if you're trying to make up for lost time, you are where you are in this life because of who you are in this life. And if you want to achieve something more, you have to become something more. Let that resonate. If you want to achieve something more, you have to become something more. And it starts with this. All right, so number 4 is not having a budget. Now, I'm not a big fan of the word budget because of the fact that I think it's a very scarcity mindset. I think thinking about restricting and all these negative things, it just really comes down to, I like thinking about running our personal life like we run a business. So instead of thinking about it in terms of a budget, I think about it as a monthly P&L statement for my personal life, right? When you think about it like that, every business, they don't think scarcity driven. We want to think in growth terms with a business, but you always have to still have a P&L statement, and you have to budget inside of that P&L how you're going to run your business. How do you invest in your business? You got to know the inflows and the outflows and where the investments are going. And maybe sometimes when things are lean, where to cut back. The goal is growth. You need to be in control of that, and anything measured improves. And so a budget is simply a scoreboard that's going to help you understand what is going on in your financial life, right? And if you do this, not only that, if you're married and you have a family, or just, even if you don't have kids yet, this is a situation where you can sit down with your spouse and you guys can be on the same page. I know that's one of the biggest challenges, especially in new marriages, new relationships, is when finances are combined and typically speaking, it's opposites attract, right? Like if there's one personality is really conservative, one personality is pretty just go with the flow kind of person, right? Like this, it's just like the way it goes. And so typically the money personalities are also different. So having a budget allows you to both communicate. Having a monthly P&L meeting for your family will help you, be 100% clear. What are the goals and the objectives on the back end of everything? And was this month, did we do everything in alignment to achieve our goals? Don't think scarcity. We can still try to live big, bold lives, have fun, have great experiences, because I'm a big believer we got to live for today at the same time. But we want to be intentional about what we're trying to create in this world as well. And I guess that leads me to number 5, which is not being 100% clear about what your goals are. I suppose I should have put this number 1, because it's really, if you don't know where you want to go, any road will get you there. What it really comes down to is, Stephen Covey says it in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you want to be successful, you got to begin with the end in mind, and you got to reverse engineer a plan to get there. And it all starts with having clarity about your goals. That's going to help be the compass, that true north for every decision that you make in your life, whether it's with your money, whether it's, where to take risks, just ultimately any decision that flows through your life. If you have 100% clarity on what your objectives are, you have a filter to run every decision in your life through. What is does it make sense to take risk and put it into a stock market, into a 401k? It's not that they're good or bad, but is it in alignment with what you want to do? Does it give you the attributes of money that you want? When you have clarity on where you want to go, whether or not your current financial strategy is 100% in alignment with your beliefs and your values. It's one of the biggest challenges that I see in this world right now. And I talk to hundreds of people almost every single month, right? And the biggest thing I can tell you is the one just overt gap that I see with every single person, and the one commonality that I see with almost every single person I talk to, is there's a huge disconnect and there's a huge gap between their current financial strategy and what their real values and beliefs are. And if your values and beliefs are not in alignment with your financial strategy, and if your financial strategy is not helping you achieve the life that you want to live, you're never going to give it everything you got. That is the reality of the situation. And so starting with the end in mind, having complete clarity, is the most important thing that you can do. So once again, let's just consider this number 1 and then work it backwards from there. But those are the 5 money mistakes that I see people make in their 20s. But once again, as I said at the beginning, if you have somebody in the 20s that you know that would find value in this video, share it with them. If you are in your 20s, share it with your friends. And I'm telling you right now, even if you're not in your 20s, I think a lot of these messages are still applicable to people in their mid-30s, mid-40s, mid-50s who are just trying to figure this out. If you haven't already, go check out my book, Cash Flow Hacking. I call it the Retirement Rescue Plan. If you're in your 50s and you're trying to play catch up, it'll help you get to where you want to go. There's still a chance for you. And if you're in your 20s and you have this dream of being financially free by the time you're in your mid-30s and you can make a greater impact in the world, it'll help you do it. So that's it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you get notified every time I launch a new video. And until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.